We're going to start today's meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So if I could ask everyone to stand up, please. Thank you, everybody. We're going to go ahead and jump right in today's agenda. Gotcha. Okay. Ms. Binder has brought to my attention that I'm going to make a brief statement before we jump into today's agenda. Thank you, Ms. Binder. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather this morning is the territorial homeland of the Nua do Moapa Band of Paiutes and the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. So we respect that, and we thank you for letting us use your land for this meeting today. Thank you, Ms. Binder, for that reminder. Okay, now we will jump into today's agenda, starting with item 1.02, which is the adoption of today's agenda. This item is for possible action, but I will begin by asking if anyone on the committee has any comments, questions, or concerns related to today's agenda. Today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve 1.02 adoption of the agenda. And are we going to do that at the end? The motion to introduce, or are we going to just do it at the end? Okay, and are we doing a flexible agenda, or we're fine? We're fine. Okay, yeah, so motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you both. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes will carry it 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Binder. Moving on, agenda item 2.01 is the approval of the minutes. So this is the discussion and possible action of the approval of minutes from our last meeting, which is on February 17th, 2023. And for those minutes, you can refer to in your packet to item 2.01. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns related to the minutes from last meeting they'd like to share? Okay, then I will seek a motion, please, to approve agenda item 2.01.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. Next item is agenda item 2.02, which is the update on the Clark County School District Internal Audit Department. This item is the presentation, discussion, and possible action on the work performed by and the status of the Clark County School District Internal Audit Department for the current fiscal year. For this item, I'll turn it over to Ms. Jeanette Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Jeanette Scott, Director of Internal Audit. So you do have the handout of our update as of May 1st, which really doesn't look very different from the last one you saw at our meeting in February. We have had a couple more reports issued as far as some follow-ups, obviously some school audits. We have assigned the start of of all of the department audits, but those are currently being delayed a bit. We have had, I did have one auditor resign, so we replaced that position, so that has required training. We did get one of our co-sourcing auditors onboarded. That has required training. And then I do have my brand new Coordinator 1 positions, 2 of those actually starting this Monday. That will require training. So I've been having to pull people off of projects and get them on that. So fortunately, everything is going well with the training so far, so we're going to be able to hopefully get back to the department audits come this summer. I'll turn it over for any questions that you might have. I think, Mr. Chairman, you had a couple questions about our audit plan for fiscal 23.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Scott. I appreciate the update. In a prior update you provided us, you did mention that your hours budget had swayed slightly or shifted slightly from what you presented to us, gosh, probably about a year ago now. Can you provide a brief, little bit more context as to what transpired and why and how you're addressing that?
Sure. So when I put the audit plan together last year for fiscal 23, that was in anticipation of 2 contract auditors starting with us mid-year is what we anticipated. And then there were delays in getting the contract approved because there were some issues getting the final documents and all that, and then getting the contract auditors through the background check, which is, always a lengthy process. So instead of having 2 start in mid-January, we had 1 start beginning of April. So I had originally moved about 1,000 hours from my budgeted school audits to departments in anticipation that we were going to have the co-sourcing auditors start and do those. Well, that didn't happen like we thought. We were getting behind on the school audits, which is always, causes me a little bit of concern because when we're not out there for a while, we don't want people to think we're not coming out. So I did pull people to go back to those school audits and get some of those, keep them caught up. So that's where that difference came in. But again, like I mentioned before, the department audits that I had planned, we have started them. We've got some in preliminary survey phase. We actually have some in test work phase. We just were not able to get as far along on those as I had hoped at this point in the year. So they will go over into the next fiscal year. So when you see that at the next meeting, those hours will be accounted for in that as well.
Thank you for that update. And then also as part of a prior update, you did bring to our attention that there was, forgive my memory, I believe 4 schools that you had presented to us that had perhaps an elevated or higher risk based on the body of work your team did for those school audits. Can you please touch on the nature of those findings and then the nature of the remediation planning?
Sure.
Those things.
Yes, we did have, as of March 31st, we had 4 schools actually that were rated at risk. And they all had, multiple internal control issues, but the pervasive one in all of them was their receding controls. We were just not comfortable with what they were doing, so they were rated at risk. So any school that is rated at risk, the appropriate regions, do meet with the principals and they do develop a plan for going forward, how things are going to be improved. So that is one aspect of remediation. Then every audit that we issue goes to the school accounting department and the school's business services specialist for anything rated priority or at risk. The business services specialist will call the school and set up a time to go out, meet with the office manager and or banker and review all the procedures, make sure they're comfortable, with what's going on. And then, of course, anything rated priority or at risk goes on an accelerated schedule for us, and we go back sooner than normal to re-audit those schools.
That's great. And thinking about, you mentioned you have other resources helping too, but have you encountered any unusual or unexpected pushback or concerns raised from your auditees as related to your higher at-risk ratings or anything you'd like to bring to our attention in that regard?
Typically, no, because when we are in the process of doing our audit, we are in communication constantly with the school staff. So when they get that at-risk rating, it's not a surprise to them. They know that it's coming. So a lot of times they have already started to work on improving their procedures. In fact, one of the schools, I think I mentioned this before, one of the schools that was rated at risk at the beginning of the school year has since been re-audited and they did receive a normal rating.
That's great. I think the genesis of that question was, in audit speak, we like to use the term scope limitation on audit work. So you wouldn't be saying that you've had any scope limitations?
No,
any
not
concern?
at all.
Okay,
No.
great. Thank you, Ms. Scott. Does anyone else on the committee have any questions?
I'd just comment in regards to that. When you find these at-risk situations, do you see mostly it's because of ignorance more than nefarious acts?
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes.
So it's just not knowing.
I think I've mentioned in prior communication that we have a lot of turnover in the schools, not only in the principal position, but in office staff position. And yes, so it's just a lot of times them just not knowing what the proper procedures are. Now, that being said, we have trainings that we've been in contact with the regions that they are encouraging their new principals to attend, as well as a refresher course for, principals that have been here for a while. So we are trying to be proactive in getting that information out there.
So the remediation really is to train them really
Yes.
one-on-one at that
Yes.
point. That's good.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Then my question is related back to what you shared previously with just the challenges with getting fully staffed. Are there any other changes in the scope of your audit plan in addition to what you've already shared?
No, everything is currently on track, I hope. Everything, we haven't had anything change significantly other than, like I said, having to go to spend more time on school audits than I thought we were going to have to.
Thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment because, we have a nefarious act that's in the media currently, and I just want to commend our internal audit department for how quickly they caught it and remediated it and how are now processing it. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, everyone, for your thoughtful commentary. And Ms. Scott, hearing no other questions or comments, I will seek a motion to approve Agenda Item 2.02.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you all. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes will have it 5-0. We'll move on to the next item, which is Agenda Item 2.03, which is review of the bylaws of this committee. This is the discussion, review, and possible action regarding suggestions for modification, additions, language changes, and deletions to the Audit Advisory Committee bylaws and calendar. Any changes recommended at this meeting will not be implemented unless adopted by the Clark County School District Board of Trustees at a future meeting. And this one will fall to me, and if you refer in your packet to Agenda Item 2.03, you'll find 8 pages of content which we'll go through this morning. I want to highlight some of the changes that were made, and I appreciate each and every one of you on this committee responding to me directly with your suggestions and feedback. It made this exercise very fruitful. Pages 1, 2, and 3 of 8, you'll notice are in Microsoft Word track changes mode, which makes it pretty straightforward to see the changes that we're proposing. Largely, these changes were a little nuanced as it relates to perhaps grammar, perfecting some grammar that might have needed it. On page 1 in the second paragraph under membership, I made a slight modification as it relates to how myself and this committee will report to the Board of Trustees. And then, last but not least, if you refer to pages 4 of 8 through 8 of 8, one of the larger changes I'm proposing is changing our annual meeting cadence from 4 times, which you will see on pages 4 and 5 of 8, to 3 times, which you will see on pages 6 of 8, 7 of 8, and 8 of 8. And as we discussed at prior meetings, although the meeting cadence may be reduced, it is certainly not my anticipation to change the scope or nature of what we hope to accomplish every fiscal year, rather just do it in a more efficient manner. So with that, I will stop talking for a moment, and I seek feedback, concurrence, or otherwise on this item.
We spoke about this, and it made sense based on the conversations that we had, that we're not trying to limit what we do as much as the timing of when we do it. Generally, the less meetings you have, the more people can work and get things done. And I'm always for that, as long as we're not giving up some of our priorities. So.
Yes, and I concur from our offline conversations via email, and that we always reserve the privilege of scheduling another meeting should we need to.
Yeah, I concur also in terms of our discussions.
Mr. Chair, I thank you so much for your patience with me through these discussions. My only question is, did we actually nail down quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4? I've looked at so much, because remember, we've had discussions in the past, like, is it quarter 1, the beginning of fiscal year 23, so July 1, August, September, right? Okay. Yep, that's my only question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Binder. And I tried to clarify that. If you refer to page 6 of 8, what I've done is put a little header on there, which aligns both the school year's fiscal calendar along with your traditional your calendar year. I hope that provides the additional clarity needed to make sure we're accomplishing things when we need to. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so hearing no other feedback, as I stated at the beginning of this agenda item, I will present these changes to the Board of Trustees at a future scheduled meeting. At such time, should they approve those changes, they will then become formally our bylaws. So with that in mind, I will seek a motion from the committee to approve that course of action.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you both. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much. We will now move on to agenda item 2.04, which is information on the Ethics Point Incident Management System. This item will be for Mr. Jason Gowdy.
Thank you, Chair. Jason Gowdy for the record. So the report itself is in the same format that we presented before. Shows a total number of reported incidents at 55 for the reporting period, which is essentially from the last time we reported to this time. You'll notice the different types. We have confirmed with the EMR team that none of these reported incidents required discipline, and so there were maybe changes in how things are done, but no discipline, so that in and of itself means that it's certainly a very low level of significance or lack of compliance. And then the one accounting, auditing, and internal financial control was actually technically related to a charter school, and so they person reporting were, I guess, advised to bring that up with the charter school itself. We, as the district, sponsor, but we really do a very high-level administrative, and we're not certainly in charge of their operations. And that's all I had, and open up to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gowdy. Can you please refresh the committee's memory? Does the CFO organization, are you generally responsible for the direct investigation of any of these items?
Jason Gowdy for the record. No, under our fraud policy and procedure, Chief of Staff heads that up and then utilizes any other source. They don't lead the investigation. They head up the investigation, and then the different departments that would be appropriate would lead it, which includes police, internal audit, my office, or anything else as needed.
Thank you. Does anyone else on the committee have any questions for Mr. Gowdy? Okay, wonderful. Hearing none, this item was not for action, so we'll go ahead and scoot right along to agenda item 3.01, which is the public comment on items not listed as action items on this agenda. Public comment during this portion of the agenda is offered for individuals wishing to speak on matters within the jurisdiction of this committee, but not listed as an action item on the agenda. Each individual wishing to speak during the period will be given 3 minutes to address the committee. The public should be aware that the committee is unable by law to deliberate or take action on items not listed in this agenda. In an effort to be fair and consistent, committee members will refrain from addressing individual public comments. So with that in mind, is there a member of the public who would like to address the committee this morning? Good morning. Please state your name for the record, and your 3-minute timer will begin. Thank you.
Okay, and it's on? Okay. I am Tamara Miramontes with Ide Bailey. I've been the engagement partner for the external audit for as long as I can remember. And I am stepping out of that role effective May 1st. I am moving into a different role in the firm. And we have identified my replacement, and it's Kurt Schlicker. He lives in Reno and is a Nevada native and has a ton of government experience, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Kurt Schlicker.
Sorry, Mr. Schlicker.
No, you're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. As Ms. Miramontes said, my name is Kurt Schlicker, a partner with Ide Bailey for the record. I've been with Ide Bailey for over a decade, and 100% of my ledger and work is spent in government space. So I don't split time for commercial. I don't split time in the casinos or anything like that. I'm 100% government focused. I'm actually our service leader for Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, at least for the government industry. And I'll give you a very quick resume, not a long resume, but I'm the engagement partner over the state of Nevada audit, so I actually lead our audit over the state of Nevada as a whole. A couple of different cities, Henderson, Sparks, experience with counties as well, experience with school districts, fire districts. almost pretty much any governmental type in the state of Nevada, I have audited or have experience auditing, including pretty much federal grants under almost every U.S. federal agency. I'm very excited to be the partner of the school district. Tammy has been the partner for a long time, and she's excited for her new role, but that means I'm also excited for my new role in being able to serve the district and give a little bit of a fresh perspective and my perspective to help the district along. And, I'd be happy to work with the district and look through processes and come up with some new recommendations or fresh recommendations maybe, and work with district staff and hopefully carry out a effective and efficient audit for everyone. That's really my goal this year. So, like I said, I'm keeping my resume relatively brief, and I don't know if you guys can ask questions, but I'll be around after the meeting if anybody has any questions and would like to talk to me individually. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak under agenda item 3.01? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to agenda item 4, which is adjournment of today's meeting. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Anyone opposed, please say no. Okay.
No.
Thank you. The ayes have it. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.